The plan isn't the problem. The problem is thinking you can follow it perfectly. You aren't a robot, you're a learner, which means you're gonna get stuck and you're going to fail. And when that happens, there's only two paths: freeze or experiment. Most people freeze and stay stuck, but learning isn't about perfection, it's about experimentation. In this video, I'll show you why the people who grow the fastest don't just follow plans blindly, they experiment, adapt, and break through their learning plateaus. Your job isn't to follow the plan perfectly. Imagine you're learning a new skill. You've got a plan, it makes sense, it's structured, it works for the person who made the tutorial, so naturally you think, if I follow this, it'll work for me too. And for a little while, it does. But eventually, something breaks. You hit a wall. Maybe the drill doesn't land, maybe you're doing it right, maybe you're just not understanding a part, but you're not improving as much as you expected, or you're confused. And instead of adapting, you just repeat. Because in your head, you think, okay, the plan worked for me, so I'm gonna just keep repeating. But you aren't like a robot, you're not a robot. You're not meant to just mindlessly repeat without questioning. And this is a trap, because plans make you feel productive even when you're not actually learning anything. You keep showing up, you keep doing the same reps, but nothing's clicking, because real progress doesn't come from doing more, it comes from adjusting better. This is where the best learners separate from everybody else. They don't panic when they hit a wall. When things break, they don't blindly follow what should work. They do what scientists do. They experiment, they change variables, they learn failures faster than anybody else, and they get a faster feedback loop. And if you grew up watching cartoons like I did, think of Dr. Doofenshmirtz, Dexter's Laboratory, Jimmy Neutron. That's like the mindset you want to have. Be a mad scientist, experiment. The job of the plan is to make you understand and to get some progress. But you have to experiment, you have to adapt. Think about what they do. They literally keep going, okay, I tried this innator, it didn't work, and they go back to the drawing board. And that's how you should look at any skill you're learning. You should always remember to experiment and to adapt. And here's the part nobody tells you. Most plans, even the well-designed ones, are built around someone else's context. They're for their strengths, their timing, their learning style, and their weakness. Or they believe that the plan works for most people, which, don't get me wrong, is right most of the time. But when you follow their plan, there'll always be a moment when something suddenly stops working or you hit that wall. Not because the plan is necessarily bad, but because no plan can account for every individual without adjustment. But instead of adapting, that's your job to adapt though. People think instead of adapting, they think, I'm stuck, the problem must be the plan, the problem must be, and don't get me wrong, it could be the plan, but 9 times out of 10, it's up to you, it's your problem, and you have to understand that and adjust. So instead of just redoing the same drill, instead of restarting the plan or looking for a different tutorial and getting stuck in tutorial hell, where you just keep looking tutorial after tutorial to tutorial, watching all these videos on the skill but not improving, this is where like everybody's learning slows down. Not because the plan is wrong, but because the learner thinks, there must be something I don't know. They slip into that robot mode because robots can't adapt to reality. You feed them data, they just keep repeating. And unless you tell them, unless they're super advanced, they're not gonna adjust. So plans aren't just made to be followed perfectly without question. They're meant to be tested, to be played around with, to tweak. And the best learners understand that, maybe intuitively, but they look at plans like, instead of a script, they look at it as like a starting point. And that's the problem with most people. They don't know which part of the plan is failing, so instead of adjusting, they double down and quit. So before continuing your plan, do this. Write down just one drill, one rep, one step of whatever skill you're doing, whatever feels confusing, not the entire skill, not like the whole phase of the skill, just whatever part you're confused at, and what moment that is that keeps breaking the flow. And once you notice it, you found your bottleneck. And I'll break down how to fix that next. So now that you've identified that one drill or that step that's breaking your flow, here's what most people do wrong. They try to brute force their way through it, either repeating the drill harder or watching another tutorial or starting the plan from scratch. But the best learners, the ones who really get it done, they change something. Because once you know there's a bottleneck, the real question becomes, what variable can I tweak to understand this better? Or how can I break through this bottleneck? What am I not understanding and why am I stuck here? That's why I said in the beginning, think like a mad scientist. The trap is believing that learning is just repeating the right drills enough times. But repetition only works if the drill is correct for you, the timing fits your level, your body understands the position, or if it's more of a mental skill, your brain understands the pattern. If any of those are off, repetition doesn't matter. If any of those are off, repetition doesn't help. Repetition without adjustment just engraves the wrong pattern. And that's why you see people stay stuck for months, even though they were consistent and they showed up. And if you go to any coach worth their salt, what does he do if you have bad fundamentals? He makes you relearn it. They always tell you to master the fundamentals because they know how hard it is to break bad habits and bad fundamentals. A mad scientist doesn't ask, why am I bad at this? They ask, what am I trying to do? And what's actually holding me back before tweaking anything? They understand the bottleneck. Like I said earlier, write down whatever part of the plan or whatever your bottleneck is. Whatever part you think, oh, I can't understand it, or bro, this shit is too hard or taking too long, write that down. What skill is this drill teaching? What part of this do you not understand? What part is breaking the flow that makes you go like, oh, the skill is too hard? You have to write that down, because once you do that, you have to see the bigger picture. And once you know the why, now you can tweak the variables. Like imagine you're juggling and you can't get the third ball to land correctly, no matter what you do. First, you ask yourself, what's holding me back? Maybe it's timing, not strength or hand position. So you start experimenting. You tweak the angle. Maybe you throw higher. And then you're like, oh, when I throw higher, I have way more time to catch it, but the accuracy goes out the window. Then you throw lower. And then you're like, oh, I'm way more accurate, but I have no time to tweak. But look what happens though. It teaches you something. Now you're like, okay, let me try against the wall so I don't go too forward. What happens? All these variables you tweak, you understand it. And once you understand the pattern, you find the sweet spot. And then suddenly your juggling suddenly clicks. And you can change any variable, speed, angle, timing, environment, whatever, sequence, difficulty, it doesn't matter. But forget juggling, any skill this applies to. Once you tweak the variable enough times, you'll learn about the skill and you'll figure it out more. And you'll have a more holistic understanding. And you'll understand the skill from the inside out. And that's where intuition comes from. And that's where mastery comes from. Because when you intuitively understand, even if you can't explain it, you'll feel it. And that comes from smart, purposeful experimentation. So here are the steps just so you understand it in a clear way. First, you want to identify the bottleneck. We talked about that earlier. Just write whatever comes to mind with whatever skill you're doing. Second, you choose one variable to tweak. For example, speed, change, make it harder. Figure out whatever variable you want to tweak. Break it into smaller steps, Remove the hardest part. It doesn't matter what the variable is. The variable, even if you learn something from the variable. Just try to change one per session. And if your sessions are longer, maybe try 2. But any more than that, it gets harder to follow and you don't know what you're really learning. And 3, observe the result. Ask yourself, what changed? What did I learn? Did it get worse? Did it get better? Either you found something to work on, you found a lead, you found something you understood, or you didn't learn anything. But you always learn something, but you didn't take something tangible away. But think about it, you still gained insight, right? And then 4th is keep that insight or drop the experiment. And it's not like you're committing to a new plan. You're just simply gathering information to adjust the original plan to fit you, specifically you, and whatever you tend to learn best with. And that's the whole point of tweaking the variables. You understand and you learn what variables you're tweaking, what they teach you, how you respond. You're like, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. This is weird. Let me not do it. You learn and you individualize it for you and you gain that intuition. And that's what we want. Now that you know how this method works, let's put it together, because this is where real ideas turn to real results. Even small intentional tweaks can make a huge difference, and that mindset applies to almost anything you're learning or any skill you're using. The other day I was squatting. I've squatted a million times, but I've made one tiny adjustment. Instead of just resting the bar on my neck, I was like, man, this shit always hurts my neck. I just started looking into squat techniques and boom, I figured out I could shift it to my rear delts. And just that small change, that small experiment completely improved how I got the bar up, the same movement, just tweaked a small thing and the result got a better result. Whatever skill you're working, sports, music, coding, anything, try it. Any small tweak next time and see what it teaches you. Because even if the result doesn't change, you learn something. Oh, why didn't it work? Oh, because of this. And then later you keep doing it, you'll have real insights and you'll understand the skill way more holistically. And that's the goal if you want real mastery. And as always, any questions you have, let me know. And until next time, Yilu out.